All right, what's going on, everybody? Round two. So the last podcast that I just did was two of my YouTube episodes. My newest one, and not my second newest one, but anyways, it was I don't know, 3 away from the newest one, basically my third newest one. So now you're getting the one in between that has to do with offerings to Gaia and a bunch of other shit. But the last podcast, didn't get to finish up the last part of my video. It was at the end. There was only about 9 minutes left. I think I played about 2 minutes out of that 9 minutes. And unfortunately, I can't alter it, so there'll be a little bit of overlap. It's going to start off with me talking, and it's going to finish off with Peterson, and then it's going to get into the new video. I just wanted to warn everybody and let everybody know that that's what's going on, because it may not match the title right off the hop, and that's because it's the end of the other video that had to do with obviously personal responsibility and what Russell Brand had to say and how to, take your power and focus on what you got and fuck all that other shit. But anyway, so yeah, without further ado, let's start the show.
By making powerful people accountable, by presenting alternatives. This, I truly believe, is possible, and that is not a conspiracy.
I think that was a great video. Fantastic. He's absolutely right about a lot of those things. And, we could all get together and start trying to accomplish exactly what he said, hold people accountable. But what happens if you start a smear campaign against these politicians and trying to get them out of office and trying to change things too fast? They're going to take a look at your life, And once again, I think this needs to be done. It definitely does. I think there's some people that are, up and coming, going to be politicians soon that are young enough and are learning. They're in positions that could do this kind of stuff. But once again, I'm about personal power, personal responsibility, and personal transformation. And I think if you want to do that, if you want to have a great life, if you want to have a life where your town is starting to open up, stuff, COVID-free, going to the gyms and stuff like that again, and all the stores are opened up. Like we went to Winners today, we went to Home Depot today, we're actually allowed to go inside, the gyms all opened up, everything's starting to slowly open up here. Things starting to get better, and right at this time of year, last year was whenever COVID was hitting full flex. Mardi Gras just happened in New Orleans not that long ago last year at this time, and that's when everything started spreading. And then all the really harsh lockdowns in the States, it was happening in China in December, whatever the case was, depending on your version of the truth and conspiracy. But this time last year, things were fucking really bad. Whereas right now, kids are back in school, things are starting to open up, things are going good here. Anyways, for me, I don't know how it is everywhere, but I've been actively trying to change my own personal reality, make my own personal life better by doing the changes I can and the things that I feel that I have not little to barely any control over. I do candles to start gaining control of those time, places, and then as a result of that, I get intuition and ideas, and I'm guided for different areas of my life that I can actually change myself. And by doing that, I slowly keep getting more and more power and more ability to change my external circumstances, to the point where this time last year, my wife was nowhere near on board with the stuff that I do, whereas now we can have a whole conversation about it, and she's actually listening. So I'm here to say that your best first step is always going to be to change the things you can change within your own reality, your own sphere, your own life at this moment in time. But anyways, and I guess a segue out to this, and I'm going to play a little bit of Pearson. I don't think the clip's very long. I don't know if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but it's somewhere in between there. And it's just, he was talking about how, I forget how the fucking conversation came about. There's something about how, anyways, you're going to hear it. But it's basically stating how what I just stated from a psychiatrist's point of view, from someone who teaches this shit. And I don't know, I might chime in one more time. I know I'm supposed to get into the different magics to use of the Bible characters as your deities, but I gave a few examples earlier, and they're going to be all like that. I think my next video I'll go into that into detail, and I'm going to very much try to remember to do that. I very much have ADD, and I get on an idea and then kind of latch on, and then I separate from there. But because a video I said I wanted to show you how to use the programming you already have, the deities you already have. For example, from your popular religion, that probably tells you magic is of the devil. But you can use these deities that are in your mind to manifest stuff. And I was going to give you specific examples on how, and I did give a few already, so I'm not leaving you completely high and dry. But you just have to get your conscious mind okay with the idea that those subconscious deities in your mind are real to your subconscious mind. Therefore, if you do a conscious symbolic representation in present tense, saying that you're grateful or thankful that this deity gave you this money, or gave you this healing, or found you a partner, then you're putting that deity to work, and so if you really want me to get into, let's say you have Islam or Judaism or Christianity, and you want to know how to do this, send me an email if you want, Corey.LeBlanc41s@gmail.com, or a comment, and tell me exactly, specifically what deities and what you want to do, and I'll make you your own personal little spell and whatever else for you, if you really want me to. And this way it's a little bit easier than me having to give you a bunch of examples right now, which, if no one emails me or sends me a comment, which, why would they? But if no one does actually take me up on this, which is fine, I'm okay with it either way. Just because it's fucking, I think it's 10 o'clock right now, and I gotta work tomorrow morning, so I still have to edit this and put it out there and do all that bullshit. So I'm just gonna leave this as is, and leave you probably off with Peterson unless I have something else to chime in about. But yeah, if you want me to specifically get into whatever it is you want to use, let me know. I'll do the research and I'll fucking send you what I think you should do. But yeah, so anyways, here's the psychological explanation for what I just said in layman's terms. But now it's going to be in better terms, coming from Jordan Peterson himself.
Course that lasts for 10 years, so better to nip it in the bud. If someone is after you to do something, and you don't feel like you're getting proper regard or proper response, or you don't think it's fair, it's like, have some courage and get a hold of your anger and use it. Doesn't mean you're right, but at least it means you can push the person hard enough so they have to engage in a dialogue with you. And these are necessary skills. Like, if you cannot do this, you have to be able to say no to negotiate. You have to be able to say no. So you always want to put yourself in a position where you can do that. That's part of power. And the other thing is, do not let people push you around, because you'll get pushed right into a corner and you'll end up as a slave. And that's because there's tyranny, slavery, or negotiation. That's what you've got. Yes.
What if it's not an individual pushing you around? If there's no one to engage in a dialogue with, what if it's society as a whole?
Then you're looking at it from the wrong perspective. Your level of analysis is wrong. Because it is society as a whole. But what the hell good is that going to do you? You can't complain to society as a whole. You have to look for the micro manifestations that actually occur in your realm and work on those. And that's the only level of analysis you have any control over anyways. Fix the things that are within your realm of power. And what will happen as a consequence of that is that your realm of power will grow. But you start local, because what the hell do you know? You're 19 or 20 or whatever it is. You have a scrap with society. It's that's just an archetypal problem. That's all it is. Because you don't know enough about society to have that opinion. And I'm not trying to be cynical about this. I am telling you it's an archetypal problem. Of course everybody who's young has a problem with society. You're all at the bottom of the bloody dominance hierarchy. Unless you count the entire rest of the world. In which case you're already in the top 1%. Right, so, that's worth thinking about too. So, if you are involved in a battle in some sense with society, you're dominated by the figure of the Great Father, the negative figure of the Great Father. You also have to, a lot of what you should do about that is increase your level of gratitude. Here you are. It's warm. The chair works. The floor isn't going to fall apart. right? You're at a prestigious institution. You're well on your way to being one of the top 1% in society. You're just too damn young right now for that to happen. You're smart, you're healthy, you're good looking, except for that weird thing you're wearing around your head. So, like, you know, what the hell? Everything's good for you. So, I mean, I know there's a tyrannical element. There is. It's real. But if that's all you see, you're blinded, and that's not good. It'll warp you. So, okay. So here's an example of how people.
All right. So that was the end of that episode, and we're about to start the new one, and I have it running in the background right now because it takes a while to start, but. Just want to say a few things. I really liked that example when the guy asked that question. You know, and I've seen something similar to that in the last recent few days. We are having a little bit of slow work just because of supplies and waiting for other contractors to finish their job for us to do our job. So one of the 19-year-olds that works for us didn't work 3 days last week, and he approached our boss demanding almost that he pays him for not working those few days because he was assuming they had a verbal agreement. And it was just kind of like, it just reminded me of what Jordan Peterson said, you know what I mean? You have a scrap with society, you know, obviously, but you can't take it up with society. But this is more of, you know, the hierarchical structure, right? The boss versus the employee. But him trying to, you know, get something out of the boss when, you know, the way he asked. If he would have went about it a different way, my boss would have totally been okay with it. But the way he asked my boss, instead of saying, yeah, no problem, I'll give you some holidays, or, you know, pay you for half days, or whatever the case was, meeting him in the middle, or he at least showed some respect. And, you know, it ended up being him saying, oh, I could lay you off on Wednesday instead of paying you for the last 3 days, you know. So it was just a little reminder of, you know, someone, when you're young, I was the same way. And I'm still young. I'm still learning quite a bit, and something I got to keep in mind too. You know, I got to stop and, you know, redo my perspective sometimes, because when I start thinking I know everything, it's like, well, no, maybe there's more here that I just can't see at this current moment. But what I like in the beginning of that, where he says you have a scrap of society, who are you going to take that up with? And you can't. And I think we see that a lot today with people at home, mad at their lives, and they're mad at society. So what do? Instead of trying to fix the little things they can fix and take responsibility for the things they can take responsibility for, they go looking for the reasons and who is ahead of the tyranny, who's the one who's oppressing them. And then this way they have an excuse and they can justify how they feel rather than actually fixing their life. And, you know, instead of doing that, the great advice that Peterson gave here was, you can fix things within your own realm. And then from there, you will gain more power and be able to actually see better, first of all, because your perspective will change as you fix these things. You'll see more and more that, you know, these things are either easier to fix or they actually are from your own hand. But anyways, the point of all that is just to say that sorry about that. Anyways, the point of that is just simply to say that if you're having a battle with society right now, if you're scrapping it out and trying to see who's oppressing you, or fighting with feelings of being oppressed, and, you know, thinking conspiracies are real and all that, which, you know, you should really do your research, look on both sides of the story and figure it out. But if you're having a hard time and you think things are happening to you that are unfair, well, you know, you really got to examine what's going on in your life. And if things are out of your control, okay, if they really are out of your control, there are some things that are still within your control. And if you can start fixing those things that are within your control, just, you know, put on the back burner the things that are out of your control and stop sulking and waiting for things to either get worse or whatever you're waiting for to happen. Instead of doing that, fix the certain things that you do have within your control and see what might happen as a result of that. You know, and anybody out there listening to me who doesn't understand what I'm trying to get to in this, or doesn't understand what Peterson was saying, or, you know, needs more clarification, or just needs to talk and is having a hard time and wants to tell me why, you know, whatever's going on, needs someone to talk to, let me know. I'm a pretty busy man, but, you know, email, fucking Skype, messengers, text, whatever the case is, I can make some time and, you know, we can work some shit out. I want to help people, but at the same sense, sometimes helping people means pointing out the places and things that they may not be able to see, which is one of the reasons why, you know, I used to like watching Thunder Wizard, because as much as sometimes I don't like the things he says about my tradition, and sometimes I think he exaggerates things, he is pretty good at sometimes pointing out things that other people can't see, which is always the case. People have things in their unconscious that they're not conscious of, and they consciously project, and someone can see kind of what's under the skin. And at the same sense, you know, we can see that from the outside sometimes with Thunder Wizard, what's in his unconscious, because he's not aware of it. But anyways, nonetheless, all this is just to say that now we're going to get into the next episode. But yeah, just if you're feeling oppressed and like there's nothing you can do, well, I guarantee you there's some things in your life that you can do and start fixing. It doesn't matter how small they are, just start with those things. And once again, what I'm teaching on this channel is magic. It's symbolic representations to get suggestions into your subconscious mind to either banish stuff out of your life or bring stuff into your life. So what do you got to lose by buying a candle and trying it out? You know, so for the things you can't control, you do the magic. For the things you can control, well, get off your lazy ass and start doing them. Anyways, that's all I'm going to say for now. Let's get on with the rest of the show.
Everybody, it's Corey LeBlanc up in this bitch. I call myself the ceremonial witch who's got an itch to teach people about spirituality. I'm trying to get a bunch of rhymes in there, it really work. I fucking customized spirit. Only a witch can get spiritual knowledge. No, I'm just kidding. But here's the thing, anybody can become a witch or a wizard. See, I don't talk about my great-grandmother. No, my grandmother. Well, and my great-grandmother, but I never met her. I don't talk about that part of my family to give me some type of claim that I... I'm a blood witch or anything fucked up like that. I'm not doing that at all. I believe that programming, i.e. also environment, all of environment isn't programming, but I think the majority of it, a lot of it is when they say you are, you know, genetics play a percentage into your makeup, and then the rest is environment, which is a fancy or a vague way of saying programming. Environment, but it's not all programming. It's your environment, you know. Also, you know, let's say there's two of me. same makeup, same cards or belts. My astrology chart's the exact same thing. The 12 cards that you have, or the 12 constellations, the 12 zodiac signs, the same planets, same time, same everything. Right? Everything's all the same. But one of me is in Texas, and the other one of me is in Cornwall, Ontario, Canada. Let's just say. Well, the one in Texas is going to be different from the one in Cornwall, Ontario, Canada. Be different from the one in Cornwall, Ontario, Canada. Let's say we have the same parents, the same, belief systems and all, for argument's sake. They're also going to be different because of the environment as well. But let's just say, for argument's sake, they're exactly the same. Because of my environment, you can kind of see what I'm trying to go at with this. Speaking of Texas, which is not what my point was, just because I've been thinking about Texas, it's the first state that came to my mind, but holy fuck, yeah, it's some fucked up shit. See, I work in minus 18 all the time, which is what they've been at their coldest, but I get it, you know what I mean? I'm not here to say, like, oh, I'm tougher than Texas. Once again, environment, you know what I mean? I've been programmed since a child that minus 18, you can go to school, you can play outside at recess, you know what I mean?
Alright, today is Saturday, I have to check, today is the 20th. So, I work in Ottawa, and I live in Cornwall. So I'll show you the temperatures of those two places right now, just to interject, just so people know. Once again, it's just to prove that people in different areas are going to be programmed differently. My shit doesn't freeze in my house when it's minus 18 or 17, and I can work outside up into minus 28, minus 30. After that, we got to call it.
So anybody who might be listening to this on the podcast, it's just showing Cornwall being, I think it was minus 11 and then minus 16 with the wind chill, and then Ottawa minus 17 with the wind chill and minus 12 without it.
Our houses ain't gonna freeze here in Canada. Our toilet water ain't gonna freeze. None of that. Prepare for that shit. In fact, today is actually a pretty nice day for me to work outside, and it's minus 15 right now.
And this is just being on the podcast because I'm recording my audio right now, but just to prove that, people, because what's going on in Texas is, the people that live there are used to a certain type of weather, so when minus 18 happens straight and everything freezes, that's pretty fucked up. But I think he said 6 years ago, maybe a little more, I worked with a young enough guy who is from Texas, born and raised in Texas. somewhere around Dallas. I think he said east of Dallas. And he's working outside with us. He's been doing roofing for a while since he's been here. And he's very young, but he's very knowledgeable. And it's just proof that, he can hack it out there. Most of the time, he's not even as geared up as I am. I have more clothes and layers and warmers on than he would. So, and he's doing just fine in this weather. So, just in case anybody thinks I was trying to propel myself above anybody in Texas, which I wasn't trying to do. But that's not the case, because like I said, I'm working with somebody who was literally from Texas. He's in Canada now, who's in colder temperatures than what's happening in Texas, and he's working outside for 10 hours a day, at least 5 days a week, sometimes more, and doing just fine. So everybody can change their programming, and everybody can adapt. We are full of potential, and we are way stronger than most people give human beings credit for.
So, and I mean, I've been working outside at minus 20, minus 28. Minus 30 is kind of where we call it. Anytime it's minus 30, it's like, that's a little too fucking cold. That's no questions. Even with hand warmers and feet warmers in our fucking shits, all decked out in our gear, I mean, you have to be able to see. So, and your eyes start watering, and this freezes right away. But that kind of cold, you know what I mean? I mean, places in BC were like minus fucking 40. Cars weren't starting and shit like that. It's been a cold ass fucking winter. One of the coldest in history. And it's been consecutive. And this is not for me to try to fucking disprove any global warming theories.
Leave her be.
Because, in the manner of speaking, I think this kind of weird temperature change kind of proves that there's something going on environmentally with this. And I don't want to, I was watching something, I won't even say what it is, but it was pretty bad. It was pretty mean. Talking about what's happening in Texas, where people are all fucking Republicans and all this Trump crap. It's like, you shouldn't do that. 22 people fucking died as a result of this cold, this freezing shit happening in Texas, man. Mother Nature, but it's just not happening. That or it's just one of those time periods where things are changing. But nonetheless, that's a fucked up. I've never seen that. In my lifetime, I've seen places like Florida get snow for a couple days. You see the odd weird anomaly like that in my lifetime. That doesn't mean I know everything. I mean, if it didn't make the news in my little town, then I would know about it, right? It's just as simple as that, I guess. But anyways, that's my point though. Like, I'm programmed to be able to handle this weather. I've been dealing with this weather since I was a kid. My body is strong enough for it. Maybe there's like some type of weather that happens in Texas that if I was around, I wouldn't be able to handle. You know what I mean? Maybe in extreme heat. Maybe it's our summers. We get to a really hot day, like an extremely hot day. We've seen, I don't even know if I've seen the humidex at 40. But our temperature generally goes to there's been a day where our regular temperature is 30, but for the most part, we don't go past 28, 25, 24, and even then, that's pretty hot. But I mean, we get like a week or two in July, August area there. Maybe it's at the end of July and August, or maybe it's at the end of June, July. It's one of those places. I think it's July to August. And generally the hottest week, and that's the week most of the factories shut down. The last week of July. Because of that. Sometimes it's a 2 week shutdown because of that. So we get to 28, almost 30, but then with the humidex, it's like 32, 35 outside. Kind of the same extreme we get in the wintertime. We get a couple fucking, this year it seems like we've had it for like a fucking month though, but we get a couple week periods where it's minus 28, and it's minus 35, minus 36 with a fucking wind chill. So that's how it is where I'm from. Now I'm right on the border of the New York State. So what happens to me probably happens a lot in New York as well. Not too much difference. So those are my two extremes. But generally speaking, in the summertime, if we're getting above 30, it's generally humidity. So it's a very wet. It's not a dry heat. It's a very wet heat. very dry, and that might be hard for me to handle because my summers are very wet, let's say. So there's humidity in the air, there's a lot of precipitation still, you know what I mean? So it's humid. It takes your breath away as soon as you go outside there. Oh, but at least there's moisture in the air. No, I don't know if that's better or worse. I don't know. It's the only thing I've ever had. For us, we walk outside there, holy fuck, man. We got air conditioning, so, we have all 4 seasons, and all 4 seasons have their extremes. But anyways, all that's to say that I feel for those people having that freezing. The toilet bowl is freezing, having to heat up the cars. I bought a generator, I think it was last year. Well, no, it would be last year. It would be 2019. Because I felt like 2020 was going to have some fucked up shit happen going forward. So I bought a generator because I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But I think a generator is something good to have. It's in case any one of these doomsday scenarios, and I don't put any, now anyways, I don't put any stake in any of these doomsday prophecies. Bad things happen. Bad things happen to the people focusing on the bad things. Bad things, entropy, shitty life, fucking circumstances, and things that happen in life happen to everybody. But you can manage to just understand that change is the only constant, that even if your life sucks right now, it's going to go back to the better side very shortly. So you don't have to really worry for it too long. And you don't make it worse while you're in that place. You try to make it better, or you try to at least make it not absolute hell, then you will bounce back faster and be out of that place. You know what I mean? That's the nature of the beast. That's the nature of our reality. That's the nature of our world. That's the way shit works, right? So that's what I've come to find anyways about all that. So I don't think any of these doomsday prophecies are ever going to play out. But at the same time, I understand that if for some reason too many minds get involved in a specific doomsday prophecy and everything lines up correctly and somehow it gets into their unconscious or subconscious mind, and then for a period of time they were able to not think about it for a while, or be distracted by something else, then there's a good chance that these things could start to manifest. But there's a lot of minds in the world, man. And that could be the reason for the overpopulation. Overpopulation is not good for the world as a whole because we use more resources and all that shit. And that's absolutely true. But if we only have a certain amount of people, then a relatively small group of occultists or whatever you want to call it, Illuminatis, let's say there is some kind of conspiracy and there's a bunch of guys in big fucking black robes like the Sith trying to rule the world. Well, they would want population like the Georgia Guidestones because they're a small enough group of so many magi, magicians, whatever you want to call them, could sway world events. So if you have 7 billion minds, you need a big fucking group. Or you need everybody on conspiracy nonsense on the internet thinking you have power. You need everybody showing pictures of Illuminati and saying these are the guys ruling the world, and everybody believing in that so that they can harness that power. One or the other. And I think you can agree with me which one is probably playing out right now. These fucking assholes made us make a good time, and now they're fucking me by fucking going super fucking slow. Holy fucking shit. Anyways. But none of that to scare anybody, and I still don't even think that's true, to be honest. But once again, it's like all this population of people is not good for the planet, but the more minds involved, the more minds here, so more people have to be swayed, you know what I mean? And you can get people on board. Like, finally, we got another 10% of these people to believe in what we're fucking pushing out there, guys, yay! But 5% of that just died, and there's 5% we're gonna, they're just brand new minds, and then they're gonna believe what their mother believes. So, we're at a crux right now, and this is good. This is kind of a good concept to understand. So, because even if you believe in conspiracy stuff, well, this is a safeguard. But there's really no reason to believe in conspiracy stuff, to be completely honest. But anyways, back to Texas. That's a fucked up situation. That's some fucked up shit. But it's not uncommon, I guess, apparently. I don't really know, actually. I didn't really look into that. But things like that happen. Anomalies happen. Mother Nature she's very powerful. And if you're not the type of person who's into any witchcraft or anything like that, I would say maybe just Venus Day or any day of the week if you want. Gaia, you know, our mother, she's housing us. We live off of her. Her trees give us oxygen that we breathe in. You know what I mean? We exhale the carbon dioxide that they breathe in. You know, we live in a symbiotic relationship with trees, animals that we eat, and plants and vegetables and fruits, all this shit. So being grateful and giving a simple sacrifice or offering to Mother Earth once a week might do you and your family a world of good. So if you're in one of these areas where there's a whole bunch of bad shit that's happening, if you give an offering to Venus and or Gaia, I'd say both. Distinguish between both. Venus is a good way to represent the Earth, right? But it's the female more than it's actually Gaia. If you break down mythology, it's Gaia and Uranus are like grandma and grandpa of all the Greek pantheon is a part of the Greek pantheon. Or maybe those might be the Roman names. I might be getting those fucked up, but they are grandma and grandpa of all the other ones that we hear the most of, the Olympians. Well, the Titans are their children, and the Olympians are the Titans' children, basically. Which is just a way to talk about everything that's here, right? But still, if you start giving an offering to Mother Earth, whether you're in one of these places or not, she might spare you. It's just one of those symbolic things that I don't care how you look at it. You can literally look at it as Gaia as a living fucking being, which she is. And she will appreciate your fucking offering to the point that she won't fuck with you. Or you can look at it as your subconscious mind is part of creating this reality. So as you watch things where the world's getting fucked up, and you see your area getting worse, and wind's picking up, and then the weather starts swinging people's minds by saying, hey, weather storm watch in effect. Who knows? Maybe they do see stuff that predicts that could be happening or not. But maybe once they announce it, it makes it twice as worse and everybody's worried about it. Who knows? But once you see that, things start getting worse. But because you've been giving offerings to Gaia and Venus, and maybe between those two female powers, maybe even the moon, she watches over this realm. She's up there. She controls water too. So, and then Jupiter with lightning and thunder, and Mercury and Saturn and the Sun controlling the wind. How many times have you heard solar winds? You guys are all air signs. Winds. That's your fucking hurricanes. All these events, earthquakes, it's Gaia. You know what I mean? All these fucking things are the elements. And every planet has an association to the element. And you straight up give offerings to the elements as well, if you're worried. Oh, the elements. If you don't want tragedy to happen to you, I swear to God, our subconscious mind is part of our reality making, which it is. It's our reality making. That's what makes our reality in cohesion and coordination with everybody else's. But, we are making this reality. When you keep giving these symbolic representations and saying you're grateful that tragedy hasn't struck your house, that you are free from any damaging storms, any damaging whatever, and then you extend that to some of your neighbors in your area or whatever. You do something nice, maybe your whole city. If you get, if it's been a while and you haven't had any tragedy, you send it to your whole city. You're protecting everybody. There's good things that come from shit like that. But anyways, all that's to say that it's a good time to start fucking giving offerings, man. When you start seeing shit like that happen in the world, I'm a firm believer that if you do something, if you have preparations in place, for example, I have a tire thing to pump up my tire in my car. If in case I get flat, I got holy fuck. I got jumper cables in case I need to jump. I got all these emergency fucking things in my car. And I haven't ever had to use them yet. The reason I have all these emergency things in my car is because I had to buy them all because I didn't have them in my last car and I had to use them all. When you have insurance on a car, not all the time because there is a small percentage, but it's like, I think it's something like 8 to 9 out of 10 people don't make claims. Or at least where I am, there's 1% of people that make claims. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Most people, even if they have something happen, they don't even do it because they don't want to pay the deductible. Like, it's insane. But yeah, we have to. We're forced to pay insurance. Point is, though, you have insurance, things don't happen. And right there it's a good concept to understand because you can be upset about that. And it is upsetting that we're paying all that money and we never get to use it. We don't get that money back. And they have all these strict rules if we do have to use it. That the money goes up and all that. It's all kinds of fucked up. I'm telling you right now, just a symbolic gesture of having this fucking insurance is enough to stop us from having issue, incident, accident, and stuff like that. If you're prepared for something, I have my generator, I haven't had to use it yet. You know what I mean? If you're prepared for something, the likelihood that you will have to use the things that you're prepared for are less likely because you're prepared for them. It's like that whole thing, when you face your fears, most of the time you don't have to face your fear. There's nothing to fear. You know what I mean? What the fuck? I have a good example of that too, and I can't remember what the fuck it is now. I recently had to face something, and when I did it, there was literally nothing to fear. But I can't remember what the fuck the example is. But anyway, so when you start seeing stuff in the world like that happening, like in Texas and shit like that, man, you might want to start showing some devotion and some gratitude and shit for Gaia. So anyways, that's the introduction to this beautiful thing I'm talking about. Take a chance here. The big chance I took there. Passing cars going up and down, I can't see. It's not very bright. But there was quite a bit of time to get over and gas switch any other cars that I wouldn't really have to worry. Saw another car's headlights and I had enough time to respond. Anyways, so today, what is on the agenda for today? Well, I think it's going to be a little bit about it's going to be Peterson again. So if you're not a big fan when I talk about Peterson, we'll break down and dissect what he's doing. And, here's your warning. Watch it. And just fair warning, I don't end up getting into any Peterson stuff. I end up using Birch to prove my points. So, I don't get into any of the Peterson stuff. A little bit of magic on it, whatever. I'm going to try to get into what I didn't do last time, which was spells for using organized religion. I'm going to try to do that at some point. I'm driving to work and I'm late, so I'm kind of speeding, so I'm trying to keep my mind off the fact that I'm speeding and worried about the cops. Because if I keep worrying about it over and over again, trying to fucking see everywhere there's a cop, I'm so focused on it, I'm putting a lot of energy into it, and then I stop focusing on it, there's a good chance I might fucking see a cop. There might be a cop there, and because I'm putting so much energy into it, you know what I mean? So, if I was to be able to focus on it the whole time, then great, but it's a shitty way to drive for like an hour or something, right? So, I'm just trying to avoid it altogether. I'm speeding, I did my thing before I started driving to vanish. Seeing any officers and having encounters with them. So, that's just the way it is. So, anyways. So that's why I'm trying to talk today, and that's why I'm talking about something new, because off the top of my head, I can think of a few things for religion, deities, or using your subconscious, so it's already in there. I got a bunch of things I want to say on that, but it's just easier if I just start. We don't have complete structure. But anyways. So. Finally, it's fucking slow ass motherfucker, man. I mean, it's snowing, but it's not that bad. People are all going fucking super slow, but one fucking guy holding everybody out. Like, what a douchebag. Anyways, what's going on, everybody? Alright, so earlier, I was talking about weather, Texas. First thing I started off was with witch. I don't talk about my grandmother just to throw out the claim that I'm a blood witch or anything like that. And I got onto the environment and genetics and programming. Something I talked about in a really earlier episode was the programming of programmed to be a witch. And I think that's one of the most important things when it comes to, because I mean you can could be of a bloodline of a witch, but depending on your astrology chart, I mean, you know, if you are from witches and people that talk about witchcraft and all that, you're going to be programmed if that's the case from hearing that, so it's going to be more likely possible for you, is my 100% belief. Now, if you come from a bunch of witches that you don't know about, you might not have the inherent gifts, so your astrology chart might be different. Your astrology chart might be based on the fact that you're blood, but I don't know. To me, it's a moot point. There's a good episode that Birch has that there's a lot of different witchcrafts that your blood, your DNA was altered through the initiation process. So when you decide you want to do this shit, you get initiated or whatever. And there's sexual ways of doing it and a whole host of other things. So I don't like to even throw any of those claims out there. I am a witch and I'm damn proud of it. So don't ever get that twisted. But a lot of power comes from just having the name, identifying with the name, putting in the programming that I'm a witch, saying that so often, getting that into my head that I am a witch. Therefore, everybody who looks at me or thinks of me as a witch, including myself, all that programming is possible. It gets more energy. So that's why people have a wizard in their name, magician in their name, frauds with this. You know, there's power that comes along with these words. Don't ever get it twisted. But to be completely honest, you know, it's more about the fact that when I was a kid, I heard all these stories about what my grandmother could do. And to me, that was the possibility that this stuff is real. And I have that deep embedded inside me. And it's never left. Because as the older I get, the more proof I get that the things she was able to do, the more stories I was privy to and able to hear. So it's not like one of those things where you're programmed about somebody and it turns out that they're fake. Like religious programming or holiday programming, let's say. You know, those things end up being fake and it fucking fucks you up for a little bit. So that's all I wanted to say about that. I didn't really have a point this morning. I was just trying to keep my mind off the fact that I was speeding to work. But I mean, it's a good thing to talk about because if you think you have some of these inherent abilities and you want them, well then it's important to start an initiation or a dedication or a year and a day or the curriculum that I do. Through the initiation process, you get the abilities that you're training for. You're training your body. And what happens in training? Well, in training, by doing these processes, by doing these rituals, you are literally programming yourself that this stuff is possible, among so many other things. So once you start doing that, it becomes possible. So for the argument that our stuff is too intellectual, it's like, well, maybe, but the more you have the programming, and how do you program something in here? Through repetition of action, through repetition of words, through repetition of thought, through any type of repetition is specific programs are created. You know, if someone calls you a fucking idiot or a loser or no good nothing or whatever over and over again, those are just words, not necessarily actions. Sometimes they're backed up by some actions as well. For the majority of the part, it's words. Someone talking bad to you, someone acting mean to you, someone giving you, you know, whatever. So, for anybody to say that there's no power in the words or it's too intellectual, it's like, well, this is the reason why there's a lot of different study and philosophy and a lot of, because it programs you. It programs you to be able to get to what you want to get, to be able to accomplish what you want to accomplish. So, anyways, by doing an initiation process or self-deification or, you know, any initiation, any neophyte, anything like that, that's how you begin. And there's books on this that you can read. I mean, there's plenty of books. They're all pretty good. I mean, even the ones that are good or got some information in it that's okay. I read a lot of books. Like I said, common denominators, the commonalities in between different books, but the same information are repeated. I mean, unless it's vague ass shit. But insert your magical title here, whatever you want. You can be that. Everybody can be that. It's not hard. First thing you should do, though, is pick a magical name. Depending on where you are, if you're just starting, you don't really need one yet, but you need to have a magical name. And you can pick it, straight up pick it, but the problem with just straight up picking a name is if you don't end up liking it, you end up changing it. The point of picking a name or having a name given to you or doing a divination or a meditation or something to reveal the name, your magical name, to you. So whatever, I mean, once you have that connection, this is why it doesn't happen right off the get-go. You create that cross-connection between your subconscious and conscious mind where you can receive messages and then this thing will talk to you. But no matter what, if you decide, okay, no, I want to pick a magical name now, whatever it is, you got to stick with that. Because the more you repeat it, the more you write it on the candle, the spell, your statement of intent, or your fuck is the name? Your petition, whatever you want to call it. The more you write that magical name on it, the more you're going to program it. You know what I mean? I literally made myself a magical sigil and programmed it, but that's not for a different reason, for the same reason, but it's just like my seal, Sorry, not seal. Seal is the wrong word to use. Seal is something that binds the energies from that. So if you're looking up a seal's sigil or symbol of Saturn is that energy. A seal of Saturn is something that binds the energy of Saturn so that it reduces it for you. So if you're working with seals for Jupiter or seals for Saturn, if you're working with a seal for Jupiter or a seal for Venus and you're trying to manifest money, well, that's probably why you're not having any luck. Because the seal is to bind that energy so that it's not so strong. You know what I mean? What the purpose of the greater ritual of the hexagram does. It produces Saturn's effect and all the planets' effects on you, so it's easier for you to not be controlled by those emotions, those limbic system deities that are within everybody, So, but yeah, if you're working with seals, it's better. So this is like my sigil, that's exactly what it is. It was a sigil, and whenever I put that on, and it only goes on stuff I want to manifest or I want to banish, or whatever the case is. Banishing is a manifestation. You're just cutting something out of your life, but you still manifest that. But I like to be specific about that part. But anyways, I don't know if you can hear me or not. I got my window open. I got the fucking heat blaring. But I just feel like talking, so I want to talk some shit. Oh, I figured out what's going on with Spreaker. One of my really old episodes, I think it was Fallout Boy, Universal Records or Universal something, is the one trying to say that I'm trying to make money off of music, which I'm not, but I deleted the episode off of Spreaker, and we should be good to go soon. That's an OPP, Ontario Piss Pot. No, that's not nice. I got nothing against really anybody. I have a lot of experiences with police officers, so that kind of programs me to not really like them. But I do know that no group is all bad or good. Even if we have Illuminati or reptilians or whatever, which we don't. And if we had that shit, it wouldn't be all bad. There'd be some good in it. It's just the reality of this, the nature of this reality. You'd say, well, they're not in a reality. Well, then how can they affect us if they're not in a reality? Well, they're a form of thought. Okay. But if you take all the forms of thought out there, the thought forms, which is probably what they really are, so you'd be right. But all the thought forms, are they all good? Are they all bad? No, it's fucking half and half. It's up to you to tune into the right ones to get results. If you're not tuning into the right fucking wavelength, the right frequency, the right radio station, well, you're going to get static or you're going to listen to music you don't like. You're going to put on the right station that you like. So, but anybody telling you that there's these beings that are affecting you from somewhere else is a fucking liar, okay? It's not the case. Now, is that mythology or symbolism to explain how the thoughts affect you? Maybe. Maybe that's what it really means, and they're just getting it all twisted. Their mind is trying to teach them through symbolism, and they're just taking it literal. Who else does that? Well, everybody who's ever taken the Bible literal does the same fucking thing. So we can't really fault them for it. A lot of people do that, but there's no aliens from another planet controlling us down here. Presidents and all that shit aren't fucking aliens from other planets fucking doing some crazy shit, man. It's not the case. Now, we have thoughts or spirits or whatever you want to call it all around us. The word thought and air and spirit are very traced all the way back. They all come from the same root word, so they're very linked. This is why air, anyways, doesn't matter. I made an episode episodes on this shit if you ever want to look at it. But point is, thoughts are more like spirits. Thoughts are something that we can't see that come into our mind. We have to treat thoughts as if they're offers, because they're not coming from your own head. That is just silly. Well, I mean, it's not silly. I mean, where else would they come from, right? But this is why people can kind of read people's minds sometimes. Just know what other people are thinking. There is some truth to this shit. It's because you go somewhere and everybody's getting the same kind of thoughts if they're in the same kind of mood. If you're in the same kind of mood as somebody, you're going to get the same kind of thoughts within a specific place, because everything has energy signatures. Everything has thought forms around it, whatever the case is. So you go somewhere and you can pick up the thoughts, because whatever you're picking up in your head is probably what other people are picking up in their head. They might say yes, they might say no. If they're angry, then shit might not matter. So you walk in a room, you start getting these loving feelings, but someone's pissed off because they just found out their husband's cheating on them. Well, yeah, they're not going to get those. Their mind's going to be completely somewhere else. But if you guys are all happy and having a good time to be there, well, you're going to have similar thoughts, you know? But I mean, I get why people think thoughts come from their own head. But it's like, you know, your dreams come from somewhere within your mind. And these are pictures that are shown to you. And how does that make any sense? When you're sleeping, your subconscious mind, right? Well, not really. You're asleep. If you remember your dream, it's your conscious being shown something from your subconscious mind. But you're just not consciously awake. It's a different kind of, you know. That's why there's a lot of people that can't remember their dreams. If you can't remember your dreams, or you don't have many dreams, well, you should really start working on your subconscious connection, and then you'll start having them. It's pretty simple, and that's one way to judge how good you're doing and how close you're getting to, you know, results. So, anyways, I'm gonna play some Peterson, and I'm gonna go along with what he says here. And then at the end of the video, when I'm done chirping on whoever or whatever for whatever I'm talking about, then I will hopefully get into a little more specific on doing witchcraft using the Bible, I guess. Alright, well, before I get into Pearson, maybe I should just elaborate a little bit further on this thought thing. Some of the things I said are kind of, I don't know, not wishy-washy, but I understood what I meant, but other people may not. So, someone who calls whatever you want to call it inorganic beings, which is a Ralph Smart term, which is fine. It's how he talks about whatever out there is controlling us, whatever he wants to call it. Pretty vague, and so he doesn't offend the wrong or right people, or some people don't think he believes in something. Who knows why he says it? I don't care. Personally, I don't care. But thought forms, okay? You have good thoughts and you have bad thoughts. If we say all the bad thoughts are bad, well, they're the same thing as the good thoughts. If there's thought forms that are these beings that we can't see, but these are where our thoughts come from, because we create thought forms, whatever the case is, or egregores or servitors that are already there that make us want to do certain things, or whatever it is, or it's all within our mind. This is what the Peterson clip is going to be about. It's going to be about the nature of thoughts. And
once again, I decided against doing the nature of thoughts, and I went into the witch bloodline, how to use initiation to change your blood, and how we have all cultures, races, and nationalities in our blood already.
How things change. And, you know, he talks about it from a psychological point of view, and I'm going to just put the magical spin on it. But it's like, whether you want to think of it as thought forms, or thoughts, or spirits, or these deities, or your emotions that are in your body, whatever it is, it's like, you can't pick which ones are bad and say, I don't want these. You're going to experience them all, you know? You can't just say, we are the evil and the good on this planet. It's all human created. We create everything. Seriously, we're creating everything. Everything you see right now is being picked up by your brain, like basically very similar to a computer program. Obviously, it's not binary like ones and zeros, but if you break it down, that's the comparison they use, but it's not actually how it is. But it's all sensory, fucking whatever, picked up and translated by your nervous system. Everything that is atoms that are moving very slow, or like the signs on one, or the metal on the car. But then when you see people, it's different. Or things are moving a little faster. No, it's just, this is all data being processed all the time completely by your mind. the time. We just don't give it a second thought. Yet, we're doing it technically. We just don't know how we're doing it because we're this one little part that's the conscious mind, the identity, the Corey LeBlanc that I am right now in the car making this fucking video, driving home, not understanding how I move my arm. I can move my arm, but I can't tell you exactly what has to happen for my arm to move, what my body is doing, which is that me doing it? You know what I mean? All I do is give a signal that I want to move my arm, and my arm fucking moves for me. Don't have to think about it. But there's a lot of things like that you want to understand. For example, baseball. When you go to catch a fucking baseball, or tennis players, they are moving towards that ball before that ball even gets there. They're picking up all that information. And someone who's got really good muscle memory, and I forget the name of it, but, you know, we don't just say, oh, here comes a ball, and then we're going to move our hand to the ball. Our hand is already moving towards that ball before we even think it through. Because otherwise, we'd be getting hit by baseballs a whole lot. You know what I mean? Same with the tennis players and all this shit, this hand-eye coordination. This is why you practice at this, because you can get better and better and better and better and better at it. But you know, whenever you go to grab a water bottle, your hand's already open. You don't even think about opening it half the time. It's like, oh, there's a water bottle, I better open my hand. You know what I mean? When I'm driving this car, it's like, I see the turn and I automatically start going into it. You know what I mean? This is why you practice driving too, so that you know. Anyways, but that's what the Peterson thing is going to be mostly about. It's going to be explaining that, and I'm going to put the magical twist on it after. But it's like, it's the same thing with all of this shit. These things happen within us, and if you want to get some kind of control over your life or reality, then you have to do certain practices and exercises that people have done for a while, and then you can start getting control of this shit. And that's basically what it comes down to, is tapping into that part of you that's already creating this anyways. You know, and you don't have to change everything else that these other people are telling you because they just want to sell you something. They either want to trick you or sell you something, which sometimes those both are linked. And I'm just trying to help you. I mean, maybe, obviously I'm doing this for a reason. You know, obviously there's some reason that makes me feel good. It makes me feel great making these videos, you know. Maybe it's the fact that I think I know a lot and I like putting that on display. Maybe it's the fact that maybe I think one day I'm going to be a popular star. Who knows why? I have an ulterior motive, absolutely. But the majority of it is literally just trying to get people off of the junk that's not going to help them at all. It's actually going to hurt them and get them into empowering themselves so that we can move on to the next phase. There's something higher than just my little narcissistic but my little attachments in my, you know, myself, not preservation. What's the word I'm fucking looking for? I'm going to go through all the words before I get the right one. But my own little assumptions, my own little motives, I guess. There's something more than just my motives to become a star, to put my intelligence on display. Whatever the case is that I'm doing this, okay? That is a part of it. But there's something more to it than that. Otherwise, all I wanted was popularity to put my smarts on display. I could talk about things that would be a hell of a lot more popular than what I'm talking about. And I've already said that before. There's things I can come out here and actually teach well, that are way more popular than ceremonial witchcraft, which isn't even a fucking type of magic that's even popular because it's my own. So, and I could just go about all the systems that I've already learned about and teach those and do like everybody else. Here's the 10 ways to ascend, and here's the 10 ways to open your third eye, and all that shit. Just put out popular, trendy crap and get popular. And I can do that. And I can still blow those fuckers out of the water with what I know about those things. But that shit isn't going to serve you because it's not that simple. You can't just do 10 things and open up your third eye. You can't just do 20 things and start ascending, or turn on your kundalini, or start being able to connect your subconscious mind, or to meditate, or to be able to use any of these healing powers or manifesting. It's not that simple, because everybody's fucking different. So even if for somebody that is true, these are the 10 things they did and it worked, well, it's not true for everybody. So the things I try to teach is for people mostly like me, but even if you're not like me, here's the people you can learn from. Here's the philosophy and the theory behind why these things work. Then you got to spin it
wanted to be popular, there'd be a lot more things that I could be talking about rather than what I'm talking about. I wouldn't have to make this so complicated. I wouldn't have to fucking whatever. So it's not really about the popularity, even though that, you know, I get subscribers, I get more likes, I get comments, and I get thrilled. It makes me happy, you know? So obviously, to a certain degree, there's something here I want out of this, yes, of course. Well, I am human after all. But on top of that, there's something else driving this. Call it spirits, call it the helpers, call it the ascended masters, call it whatever the fuck you want. Something wants humanity to be helped. That's why I'm doing this, because something wants to talk through me. Who knows what it is? But it talks through me, because a lot of this shit I don't know until I fucking make these videos. But, except for the stuff that I do over and over again, that's different. But, once upon a time, that started off the same way that the information that I don't know until I make these videos started off. Do a candle every day with fucking just write whatever you want on it. Really? That's not what other people do, or that's not what I think they said. No, the petition goes under the candle. It's like, well, do it anyways. Okay, I fucking did it. Guess what? It worked. So I learned to listen to this voice, these ideas, these thoughts, these pictures, these manifest in so many different ways. Sometimes it's just pure accident or instinct. But you know, I listened to it and things work. So, like yesterday, for example. I mean, I do financial candles twice a week, probably, to make sure. I mean, it's not a huge amount, but still, like, $70 for nothing yesterday. My mom. And, I mean, okay, it's my mom, but it's like she wanted me to come and move all the beer cases out of the house. But she's got like $70 worth of beer cases, and then she wants to give me an extra 10 just for doing the fucking work. You know what I mean? It's like, holy fuck, I wasn't expecting that, but hey, it's fucking money. I mean, it pays for my fucking gas. I'm not going to turn down. If you turn down $70 or you think you're too good for $70, guess what? The universe stops giving you $70. You know what I mean? If you're grateful for a toonie or a loony or $5 or even fucking 25 cents on the ground, you start picking up those quarters, that turn into dollars. Start picking up those dollars, it turns into 5 and then 10. You know, this is how the universe works, at least in my experience. So you gotta show gratitude. Because think about it, if you can get $70 a fucking day just for doing. Doing nothing, I think you'd be a hell of a lot more better off than if you did nothing. You can say, well, I make more than that with my job, or I make, you know, about that through whatever. It's like, okay, but what about an additional $70? You don't need extra money? Really? Okay. But anyways, so I'm going to get to the Peterson and start doing what I do. Chime in halfway through whenever I think there's something I need to give you the magical spin on. All right, let's do it.
Alright, everybody. So, I was all set to do what I was going to do with Peterson, what I normally do. And because it kind of refers to what I was going to talk about here, or what I've already talked about, from which DNA, programming, environment, weather, Texas, whatever. All the shit I've already brought up. instead, because one of the last things I talked about was, well, one of the things I talked about was birch. I'm gonna cue up that video so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. And then I'm gonna do something else, and it's gonna be about our DNA and how everything is stored in our DNA. So I'm gonna do that, and I may or may not chime in on that. Now, the episode that Spreaker caught me for monetizing was, I forget the name of it. It was Canada Day Magical Procedure, something like that. I had to delete it, but I've recorded the audio from it, and I'm not sure if I'm going to put it at the end of this. However, as soon as I'm back in the monetization program, I'll probably start putting out a podcast, and then it'll be on the podcast as well. But that might be, if I don't chime in on Birch's stuff, which I probably won't, but I'll let him talk, and then there's a good chance that might be at the very end. So right now I think I'm running at 45, 46 minutes, and which is alright. Then after these two videos, it'll be something like an hour. So to add, I don't know, 40 minutes of just audio at the end of this video, it's going to be a long video. But because it used to be part of my archives, right now this video is on private on YouTube. So we'll see, but I don't know. I can only assume if it happened on Spreaker, it's going to happen. It's probably already happened here. But anyways, so I may. So if that bugs you, just the audio and not the video, then as soon as Birch is done, shut it off. I mean, take a look. Maybe I add something then, but I probably won't. Anyways, this is very important to understand. It could be the reason why, if you're a white guy and you like rap music, it could be the reason why you are drawn to a certain type of witchcraft or whatever. Anybody claiming to be from an unbroken line or lineage, which is great, because using your ancestors to do magic is awesome. They're there, we can use them. Closer to the ancestors, the better. But what Birch goes into in the second part is how we have every race within our DNA encoded in our blood. So, but anyways, I'll let him speak it. And yeah, so if I don't come back on, I hope you enjoyed the episode and have yourself a great fucking day.
Kids. Hi, kids. Thank you for your comments. On one of those comments, I can't remember which one, and I just went and looked for it. I get comments wherever I'm at. They come over my phone, and so wherever I'm at, I'll be reading. I'll be out to dinner with people, or I'll be out drinking, and I get comments. Middle of the night, I'll be up to pee, be reading comments. I don't remember who it was, but somebody wanted me to get more old school, talk about more old school stuff. You remember, you know who you are. I don't really know who you are right now, but I know what you said, and so I plan to do that. Cool stuff. You remember, you know who you are. I don't really know who you are right now, but I know what you said, and so I plan to do that. Probably haven't heard much at all. Are you a hereditary witch? That used to be a big question. Still is with some people. Some people deny your witchness if you are not hereditary of the blood, as they say. Well, I am of the blood, and I have been actively in the craft for like 35 years. So I've seen some stuff. I've seen some things. And some stuff. And I'm here to tell you that in the old school, your bloodline was altered during the initiation process. That's right. The old school belief was that your blood was changed by the process of initiation. And you go far enough into the old school, and they actually changed your blood through sexual initiation. It was believed that the exchange of bodily fluids altered the bloodline. Now, that doesn't tend to be done much anymore, but it was back in the day, and it opens up for some interesting beliefs. If you think of everyone you ever had unprotected sex with, you became of their bloodline. I don't know, maybe it has to be done in a magical situation or something like that, hopefully. At any rate, it was this process of initiation was seen to alter your bloodline, and then you were of the race of the witch. The wiki, whatever terminology you want to give it, we are of the belief that we come from this very old stock, and whether we are born down through the bloodlines, or maybe even bigger arguments, like it's something in our ancestral DNA, our ancestry.
All right, everybody. So I was all set to do what I was going to do with Peterson, what I normally do, and because it kind of refers to what I was going to talk about here, or what I've already talked about, from which DNA, programming, environment, weather, Texas, whatever, all the shit I've already brought up. But instead, because one of the last things I talked about was, or one of the things I talked about was Birch, I'm going to cue up that video so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. And then I'm going to do something else, and it's going to be about our DNA and how everything is stored in our DNA. So I'm going to do that, and I may or may not chime in on that. Now, the episode that Spreaker caught me for monetizing was, I forget the name of it. It was Canada Day Magical Procedure, something like that. I had to delete it, but I've recorded the audio from it, and I'm not sure if I'm going to put it at the end of this. However, as soon as I'm back in the monetization program, I'll probably start putting out a podcast, and then it'll be on the podcast as well. But that might be, if I don't chime in on Birch's stuff, which I probably won't, but I'll let him talk, and then there's a good chance that might be at the very end. So right now, I think I'm running at 45, 46 minutes, and which is all right. And after these two videos, it'll be something like an hour. So to add, I don't know, it's 40 minutes of just audio at the end of this video. It's going to be a long video. But because it used to be part of my archives, right now this video is on private on YouTube. So we'll see. But, you know, I can only assume if it happened on Spreaker, it's going to happen. It's probably already happened here. But anyways, so I may. So if that bugs you, just the audio and not the video, then as soon as Birch is done, shut it off. I mean, take a look. Maybe I add something then, but I probably won't. Anyways, this is very important to understand. It could be the reason why, if you're a white guy and you like rap music, it could be the reason why you are drawn to a certain type of witchcraft or whatever. Anybody claiming to be from an unbroken line or lineage, which is great, because using your ancestors to do magic is awesome. They're there. We can use them. Closer to the ancestors, the better. But what Birch goes into in the second part is how we have every race within our DNA encoded in our blood. So, but anyways, I'll let him speak it, and yeah, so if I don't come back on, I hope you enjoyed the episode, and have yourself a great fucking day.
The belief that we come from this very old stock, and whether we are born down through the bloodlines, or maybe even bigger arguments, like it's something in our ancestral DNA. Our ancestral memory has memories that we have no reason to have. Stuff that we have no reason to know is somehow encoded in our DNA. So our ancestors, our pagan ancestors, are in us all. So even those that aren't pagans have their pagan ancestors in their ancestral DNA. So that fuck with you right there. But the belief that your bloodline was altered, and then you were of the blood. So hereditary became a whole different argument in the old school through the initiation process. Some people still have that kind of, still are doing those same rituals, but have lost that concept. It's not talked about anymore, but it was very much talked about when I was a kid. Very much talked about in the Italian witchcrafts. They believed it, and it's a very ancient idea, actually, amongst scattered races. There are many scattered races historically on the planet. Usually, religious persecution and that type of stuff tends to be the most common. Few of those can we still see, but we can see them. There's one that we all know very well. The Jews. The Jewish people still have that in their belief system. If you look at it closely, you can come from Africa and become a Jew, and even though you're black or you're African, you're Jewish now. You are of the race of the Jewish people through their initiation process. Very old belief. Few races survive long enough to keep those beliefs alive, but we can see it. It's similar to that. They are of the same race and suffer for that regardless of their color. Once they become that race, they take on everything of that race. But this is what we can see with the Jews, is that this was a common belief amongst scattered old cultures. We said the gypsies were that way too. The gypsies don't necessarily come from anywhere, but you're born of gypsy blood. You're not race was not regional when you were a scattered race thrown upon the wind. And We tend to be of the belief in all of the witchcrafts and the paganisms of the world that we are a bunch of scattered on the wind races that came back together, whether it was reformed or whether unbroken through time. It does not matter. We have that belief in our system too. Bloodlines were altered by our initiation rituals. So that opens up whole other arguments. You can have those, or maybe I'll have those for another thing. I'm not saying that if you weren't initiated, you're not a witch. That'd be another argument for other people to have. But if you have been initiated, then maybe you're this hereditary thing is a whole different idea than you've thought it before. You can read some of the older books or something, you can see it, but it becomes lost with Wicca. Unfortunately, Wicca scatters and dilutes the pond to such an extent that it's really hard to find the old pieces. But they do float to the surface. It just takes somebody to recognize them and pull them back out of the muck. Lots of great magical practices and philosophies lost over time because there's too much of it now. We have too much diversity to where we've lost a lot of what is us. I'm not sure what my conclusion is or my solution is to that. But that's the way it is. We've lost a lot of our old school because there's so much new school on the market. Almost like a disinformation. There's so much other information, we can't find the original information. It's really hard to dig out. But I wanted to throw that one out there because I've heard the arguments for years, but I've never heard anybody come to an interesting conclusion like that, or the conclusion that seemed obvious to me. And that's why I've been a witch my whole life. There's just stuff in the craft that seems obvious to me immediately when I see it, and it's not obvious to other people a lot of times. And I have a knack for making it obvious to them, so that's just why I do what I do all the time. Come by the Grove, and I'll do it. Talk your ear off, tell you some stories. This has been a shorter one, but I wanted to throw out that point, and then the other one. Ancestral DNA. We have things born into our blood, instinctual things that go back to when we were scared little creatures hiding from dinosaurs, wild instincts from the woods that we have no reason to have because our people haven't been in the woods in a very long time. Well, a lot of our people, our culture, our civilized cultured people, haven't been off in the woods for a very long time. We have no reason to have those instincts, but that's it. They're instincts. There's stuff born in us. It's born in our bones. We are stardust, landed here to evolve, to become us. That stardust was many other things before it was us. And it will be many other things after it is us. And this, I will leave you with to mess with all of your ideas of reincarnation until I decide to talk about it again. Merry meet. Merry part. Merry meet again. I don't know who you are, your ancestors, known and unknown. Kind of like when we do like enemy work for enemies known and unknown. We do a thing for ancestors known and unknown. And that can work too. So now those are the typical things. And what I just said is not hard to find. And you're going to find many people are going to say the same thing. And so you know, Uncle Birch ain't going to stop there. I'm not just going to tell you what everybody's going to tell you. I'm going to fuck up everything I just told you, actually. Because recent scientific advances have proven what a lot of our ancestors in indigenous and pagan cultures worldwide have always said. There's a thing called ancestral memory. It's in us. It's in our DNA. It's part of us. Our cells, our very cells, carry memories. The atoms that make up our body carry memories. And the atoms that make up our body have been many things. They have been planets, stars. You've heard that we're made of stardust, right? The ancients used to say something like that too. Though we are children of the earth, our race is of the stars. Some people think that maybe that means that we were aliens. I don't know. Some people believe that that means that witches were a separate species put here by aliens again. I don't know. But then maybe it's the actual star stuff and drifted down to the planet, evolved into what we are now, and those cells in our body contain those memories of everything that has ever been. This could throw in some monkey wrenches into the ideas of reincarnation as well. We could be experiencing cell memory of other things that those cells have been on this planet or on other planets. But that's just one thing. So the ancestors always talked about that ancestral memory. And in just recent years, science has made leaps and bounds with that one. And I've seen several studies. And if you know of a study that disagrees with what I'm going to say, I'm open to it. But the study I read was about ants. They studied ants, and they found a genetic memory in the ants, in their very DNA. Memories encoded into their DNA. And they weren't just memories from their genetic ancestors. They were the memories of the entire species of ants. So, in other words, red ants head around that one. So, where most people would say when assembling an ancestor altar, you learn a lot about your culture, learn a lot about where your people came from, do things, if you're going to have like Scottish ancestors, maybe you put a plaid altar cloth on there, the Scottish kind of plaid that a kilt would be made out of, that kind of thing. Normally people are going to say that. You got Italian ancestors? Do some Italian things. Or so if we're working with, we're working with African religions. Several that went to Cuba, like the Palo, Santeria. Santeria would be another, the Cubanized version of what left to Africa a lot of times. That's all very debatable, but those ancestors are seen to want rum because that's so important in Cuba. The Irish are going to want Irish whiskey. In hoodoo, we're dealing with ancestors with whiskey, and we're feeding objects with whiskey because those are the alcohols from that culture. So it's believed that they're going to like what came from that culture. But now with the DNA memory, who the fuck knows? This ruins everything we thought we were. All the worst things that make up our species as humans, ruined by the discovery, or the proving of ancestral memory. And let me see, I had something I had saved here. I could get my damn phone to open up here. I looked a little bit up on Wikipedia, and I looked at genetic memory. Again, my phone's just totally fucking with me. Let's see. Genetic memory is in biology, a memory present in a state of biological systems depends on its history in addition to present conditions. Its memory is recorded in the genetic material and stably inherited through cell division, mitosis, or meiosis. It is genetic memory. Then there's somatic memory. Somatic memory is limited to the organism and not passed on to subsequent generations. However, its mechanism may evolve mitotically stable genetic memory. The term applies to cellular memory in animals, memory, plants, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this is the one I was actually looking for. Cellular memory. All cells in the multicellular organisms are derived from pluripotent zygotes and contain the same genetic material, with a few exceptions. However, they are capable of recording a history of their development within the organism. leading to specialized functions and limitations. Cells often employ epigenetic processes that affect the DNA protein interactions to record this cellular memory in the form of mitochondrially stable changes in the genetic material without change in the DNA sequence itself. Hopefully that meant something to you, but it meant something to me when I read it. So this really changes things, and so if you really want to do an ancestor altar after what I just said to you, you're going to need more room. You're going to need levels. One of those like this. You're going to need an altar with levels. There's a level on the top too that you can't even see. Just to keep up with your ancestors, you're gonna need something for the Asians, for the Africans, for the Northern Europeans, on and on, all the races, all the creeds. You need something for women, something for men, some for gays, some for straights, all this encoded in our genetic memory, screwing up everything that we thought we were and fucking up a lot of the things on our planet. I think, as I'm thinking about that, I'm thinking right away how that fucks up racism. And we all know, most of us know that ever studying any science, we really all came from Africa. The first trace of the human species can be found in Africa. And they traveled all around the world and became different. Maybe different levels of sunlight made their skin different. That's a theory I've heard. But people change and evolve. Matter of fact, the legend has it that the indigenous Irish people, the Tuatha Dé Danann, were such a dark skin they were almost considered like navy blue. There was like blacker than black. Blacker than any black we've ever seen on this planet. Blacker than any black in Africa. The indigenous Irish were black. And somehow they're the whitest motherfuckers in the world now. Over evolution, devolution, interaction with other cultures. Ireland was, probably the most invaded piece of land in the old world. So I don't even know where I'm going with that anymore. So that's my lesson to you to screw it all up. You're gonna have to appeal to all your ancestors, and this might help some people, because some people, some witches, some pagans, they may lean to the Celtic but not be Irish. Well, now you're Irish. Some may lean to the African, but they're not African. Well, now you're African. Cultural appropriation gets really fucked up with this idea too. Like I said, all of the worst things about human beings, even the variations and the arguments between religions, all of those ideas were born into our DNA. They originally stemmed from the same ideas. They somehow become different religions over time, but the origin of those ideas is something encoded into the DNA of our entire species and comes from one singular source, and then just varies with who's telling the story. So, I guess that's it. Probably long enough. I could just ramble on forever, as you know, and y'all seem to like that anyways, but, at some point I've got to press stop. Cause I don't know if a couple listeners have mentioned that they hear the fan on my computer struggling. It is. I barely got it to reboot. Operating system not found. Blue screen of death. I still know some tricks. I was able to get it up and running, but I'm going to have to look for a new computer really soon. So you feel free to send me donations towards a new computer. But one more thing that I wanted to say. There's a good friend of mine, Frater X, the Mystery Channel. A lot of you know him. I know I've gotten a lot of listeners or a lot of viewers from him. Hopefully he's gotten some viewers from me. He's got plenty of viewers. He's doing fine. But I gave him a discount code to use on his channel. People watch the video, they get the discount code. They get, I think, 13% off from my web store. And then it occurred to me, he's like, well, goddamn, You've never done that on your own channel, dude. So, yeah, I should do that on my channel, right? I'm offering a discount to some other dude's viewers on some other channel, and I haven't offered a discount to you guys. Well, here you go. It'll have to be after this video uploads. I have to go set it up. But those of you, if you need stuff, you need some things for your witchery, I have this little shop. It's called thesacredgrovestore.com. Now, if you go to thesacredgrovestore.com after watching this video, enter the secret code that is the name of my channel, FreakPhil1309, FREAKPHIL, and the number's 1309. If you didn't hear that, look over there. It's right down in the corner right over there, right under my video. That's the secret code. That'll get you 13% off. There's some little code prompt, discount prompt, on the webpage. I don't know where. When you're making an order. So you enter that code. I'm going to give you 13% off. Anything you need, you can use it as many times as you want. It's going to be one of those discount codes that's not going to expire, because my videos stay up there forever, and I'm sure I'll have the web store forever. The web address might change at some point, but wherever my website is, you get the 13% discount because I love you.
Don't come here, I don't care. Grandpa's got hair though, he's got black hair. Grandpa's got black hair, Grandpa's got brown hair. Then I think Grandpa's hair is brown too, which is really dark. Grandpa used to have blue eyes and blonde hair when he was a kid. What? Not an earring. No. What, that is not an earring, right?
Yes.
Where? Ah.
That's my earring.
Alright.
Yes, Mommy.
Okay. Don't go finish your picture.